Ramzan, Pakistan, Ramzan, Pakistan.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Astaghfirullah rabbi min kulli zambin wa atubu ilayhi. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale. Ni hao, shunu shumme, washmale, ola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal. Hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa salan, marhaba. Buna, mucho, gracias, suabi, bhalli kare aaya, hosh kya dil. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into PET World. You're definitely watching Ramadan, Pakistan, alongside my very learned colleague, Miss Hajra Satti, and I happen to be Shahzad Isan Khan. First things first, hello Hajra, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing today?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for asking. I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I think I'm doing absolutely perfect, but you know, to be very honest, the kind of topics you come up with, at times I'm like, okay, you know, I think I put my own self in difficult situation as well. But thank you very much for always coming up with such literary and philosophical topics, which obviously are going to help people. But first things first, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, obviously I had to ask my colleague whether how she's doing. Now, for everybody out there, we hope and pray that everybody is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to start your day with us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramadan, Pakistan's transmission is actually at repeat at 5 p.m. as well. So please make sure if you miss out on something, you catch the repeat as well. But sir, very quickly, I think what we really need to kind of talk about is today, obviously it happens to be the death anniversary for our ideological father, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. And it goes without saying that we really need to pay him rich tribute for the kind of values he's instilled within all of the youngsters and all of those people we surround ourselves with as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal is being remembered today across the country on his death anniversary to acknowledge his services for getting a separate homeland for the Muslims of subcontinent.
Right, and the day dawned with special prayers for solidarity and prosperity of the country and the Muslims, and nation pays special tribute for his vision of a separate homeland for the Muslims of subcontinent.
Born on November 9th, 1877 in Sialkot, Dr. Iqbal was a great representative of the subcontinent and one of the main exponents of the Pakistan movement, called the Sufi poet of the modern age. He was a man of great ideas, dynamic, romantic, provocative, and profound. I like the provocative one.
Right, right. And he was born as a great poet, serious thinker, and philosopher who infused a revolutionary spirit in the Muslim youth of subcontinent through his poetry.
And you know what, in addition to that, Hajra, this is very interesting for the world to know as well, because we go out in 46 different countries. Allama Iqbal's poetry has been translated in Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, English, including several other languages. The poet-philosopher died on April 21st, 1938. May his soul rest in peace, and thank you very much, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal, for giving us the values which we still are trying to hold on to so that we can actually prosper as a Muslim nation as well. But very quickly, now coming down to where how each and every one of us is so vulnerable that we do fall ill. And we have been talking about it as well, that, you know, it is our sole responsibility to look after our body, you know, maybe because when we talk about World Health Organization's definition of being healthy, it's your spiritual health, mental health, and then it's your physical health as well. But ladies and gentlemen, how do we stay fit? You know, physically is something which is really essential in the first place, and I think that, you know, it actually kind of adds on to your mental peace as well, and then your emotional health as well. So first things first, I really need to ask Hajra. So Hajra, do you exercise? Do you work out? Do you make sure that you stay fit?
Yeah, I used to do gym before Ramadan, but now it's Ramadan, so I don't have any energy left for that. But after that, I'm thinking of joining the swimming. Yes, I
Well, that's wonderful. So you've never left the gym. It's just that you wanted Ramadan to be
yes,
a little
I
peaceful.
took a break. Yeah, I took a break.
I think it's wonderful. But ladies and gentlemen, how to stay fit during Ramadan is something which we were very primarily focused on as well. And a lot of people, what they do is that they would actually go to the gym prior to the iftari as well, 1 hour prior to the iftari, do their cardio, and then after iftar, they'll come back for their weights as well. And this is something which I've been following, and it has been helpful. But there's one thing which I've always observed. I think it's the blessing of Allah Almighty that no matter what happens, even if you're dieting, even if you're working out, your weight will never drop in the holy month of Ramadan.
Really?
Have you ever experienced that? I have experienced that myself.
I think my drop.
Really?
Yes,
Wow, that's
yes.
wonderful. So that's good news, ladies and gentlemen, from Ms. Hajra Satti. Well, I don't know whether I wanted to drop or not, but I wanted some good lean muscle. I think I have it. I'm at the same weight. My trainer keeps on telling me, hey, Shahzad bhai, you do not need to worry about that as well. But we seriously want to share how you can stay fit in the holy month of Ramadan. Even though that we are a little late on this, there's only almost 11 days left, ladies and gentlemen, but please go and take a look.
Physical fitness as one's ability to execute daily activities with optimal performance, endurance, and strength with the management of disease, fatigue, stress, and reduced sedentary behavior. Research has shown that fasting for 30 consecutive days without performing any physical exercise or activity reduces strength and physical fitness. Exercise while fasting may actually keep our brain, neuromotors, and muscle fibers biologically young. When we exercise during fasting, it essentially forces our body to shed fast, as our body's fat burning processes are controlled by sympathetic nervous system, which in turn is activated by exercise and lack of food. Keep cardio low intensity during fasting, as high intensity will eat up glycogen stores and force the body to use protein for energy. It's better to switch from cardio to strength training during Ramadan. When your body goes for long periods of time without food, it can break down muscle weight for energy. As a result, strength training can also slow down the process of muscle loss while fasting. Every workout regime needs a rest built into it, therefore naps are so important for recovery. Working out improves your focus and can help sharpen your mind. It improves aches and pains, and your body releases a natural hormone called endorphin. This hormone makes you feel happier and can help relieve stress. It will also help you increase your energy levels.
All right, and we certainly want our energy levels to be up here, ladies and gentlemen, in order to make sure that we conduct this entire transmission, and that too entertainmentally. I don't know, I'm not sure whether it's a word or not. But very quickly now coming down to what are we talking about. And as we before spoke that Ms. Haja Sati came up with the topic this time around. So I would want her to share her vision of what we are talking about, and then we'll definitely move on towards our religious scholar. And we obviously have a Nathwa over here as well. Please.
Right. So today we are going to discuss Ijtehad, and this is something that Allama Iqbal was a great proponent of it. And so basically what is Ijtehad? There is this hadith when Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam appointed Hazrat Muad as a governor of Yemen. He asked him that if there any problem arises, then what will you consult? He said that I'll consult Quran. Then Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, what if the answer is not in Quran? Hazrat Muad said that I will consult the Sunnah of Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, so what if the answer is not in Sunnah and Quran, both of them? Then he said that I will exert to form my own judgment, right? So Ijtihad is something basically that you reason, and it's this ability to, you know, freely think about it and freely do the reasoning in that sense. So on this topic, we're going to talk about it because...
And before we kind of introduce the guest, because I knew that you were about to introduce the guest as well. So, you know, as a layman, ladies and gentlemen, because half of the time we are not very we do not understand the terminology within the religion which is used as well, for example, Ijtihad as well. So what I have learned so far from what you said is that, for example, if you know if there's a conflict, if there's an argument, and the solution does not lie within the Quran, Holy Book of Quran as well, or probably the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we kind of move on to Ijma, where we do a scholarly consensus, everybody comes together, everybody does a logical reasoning, and then whatever solution they mutually agree upon is the thing which we are going to follow in the light of our religion. Is that true?
That's
all right.
true.
Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to that, you know, there are a few types of Ijtihad as well. And when we talk about Ijtihad, obviously, you know, Ms. Haja Sati has mentioned about Quran and Sunnah, but then there's Qiyas, then there's Istihsan, then there's Masala, then there's custom, which is actually known as Urf as well. But in what conditions and under what terms do we really need to kind of move on towards such a consensus? That's prejudice, that's intellectual stagnation, political dictatorship, factionalism, and extremism as well. So very quickly, without any further ado, we're very lucky that it is actually Hajar who's pushing me to do all of this hard work as well. So thank you very much. You know, it's always wonderful to have such colleagues who will push you to make you a better version of yourself from yesterday as well. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a better version of Mr. Imran Sadhu Saab today as well. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Subha bakhair. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, brother?
Absolutely perfect. And thank you very much for joining us. And since today, ladies and gentlemen, we are observing the death anniversary of Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal as well. So we would want to start the day with his kalam as well. And for that, we're very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. Saklan Nawaz. Hello, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sir, please, bismillah kijiye.
लौह भी तू कलम भी तेरा वजूद अल किताब लौह भी तू कलम भी तू तेरा वजूद अल किताब गुंबद आबगीना रंग तेरे मुहीत में हबाब लौह भी तू कलम भी तू तेरा वजूद अल किताब आलमे आबो खाक में तेरे ज़ुहूर से फरोग आलमे आबो खाक में तेरे ज़ुहूर से फरोग ज़र्राए रेग को दिया तूने तुलूए आफ़ताब ज़र्राए रेग को दिया तूने तुलूए आफ़ताब तेरी निगाह नाज से दोनों मुराद पा गए तेरी निगाह नाज से दोनों मुराद पा गए अक्ल गयाब जुस्तुजू इश्क हुजूर व इज़्तिराब अक्ल गयाब जुस्तुजू इश्क हुजूर व इज़्तिराब लौह भी तू कलम भी तू तेरा वजूद अल किताब
Tera Wajood Al Kitab. Jazakallah Saklan bhai. Thank you very much for giving us this environment where we do feel spiritually enlightened as well. But now, very quickly, moving back to the better version of Mr. Imran Sandhu Saab as well. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously we do, every single day try to make ourselves be better from yesterday as well, and that's why I'm actually imposing this on to Imran Sandhu Saab. I don't know whether he likes it or not. But sir, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, obviously, Hajrat once again came up with a very philosophical topic, and it is really hard to kind of have that kind of agreement in today's time. And to be very honest, I think let's talk about it from the perspective of any individual from any walk of life as well, first of all. Because I've given a few examples. Obviously, when we come down to these examples, obviously, the people we elect every single, within every elections, I think they are the ones who actually kind of speak about it as well. But I believe that there's intellectual stagnation in between them as well.
That's
And we
true.
certainly need to kind of work on that. But first of all, what is Ijtihad? For the layman to understand, for our viewers to understand, and then we'll move on. What are those topics which are not actually covered in Quran or Sunnah? And are there any topics which are not covered?
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Uh, Most definitely, Ijtihad is one of the great values that exist in Quran and Sunnah. And without Ijtihad, it is impossible for a religion to get complete. So when the rules or the injunctions of Ijtihad came in from through Quran and Sunnah, then the religion became complete. The reason is the human society is not a static society. Neither the human mind is static mind. So societies will grow.
Right.
They will grow in their in their population. They will grow in their knowledge. As the time comes, the growth could be seen everywhere in all walks of life, in all dimensions of life as well. This does not necessarily mean that we do not remain human beings after the growth. After all, we are human beings, and we'll have similar conditions, similar problems with different conditions. That is why Ijtihad is necessary. What is Ijtihad, and what are the dalail of Sharia? What are the basis of this Ijtihad? So, as Hajra actually narrated hadith, and kaifa taqdi, Rasulullah SAW asked, although he knew the answer himself, but when he was making Hazrat Muaz ibn Jabal the governor of Yemen, and he actually walked his way through to the end of Medina, and he was being delegated the duty of the governor for the people of Yemen. So he was being put into a place of leadership, and as their administrator. So that is why Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took a bit of an imtihan or examination, that what is his opinion about how to make decisions. So the word is kaifa taqdi, إذا أراد لك القضاء. So how are you going to do justice amongst the people when a qadha comes on to you, or a problem comes on to you? How are you going to make your decisions? Then he answered, obviously, from Quran, and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied, and if you do not find it in illam tajid fi, so he said that from your sunnah. And then when he Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam again asked, what if you do not find it inside of my sunnah as well? So there could be two things, that because he was at that time the Quran had not been revealed, and the Prophet's life was also there, and new things would be taught by him. So it was an obvious answer that if I do not get to communicate with you, what I'll do is I'm going to struggle, and I'm going to ponder with my intellect, and do the decisions. This does not mean that necessarily that it was not in Quran and Sunnah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it was not in Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah is a complete set of knowledge. It has all the solutions. When we do Ijtihad, what we do is we try to find the right ayah. There are 6,660 something ayahs in Quran, and out of those ayahs, the rules and regulations, there are 600 ayahs as told by the scholars, approximately 600 ayahs that give the rules of life, the principles, you know, the ethos or the ethics. So, so ijtihad definitely comes in when a new condition arises, the ahwal change in our life. Then you have to ponder upon these ayahs of Quran, and similarly approximately 2000 ahadith that relate to approximately that relate to the life of the Prophet where he did decisions. So pondering in those and choosing the right solution
At the right time.
and it could be a possible way to do ijtihad, right? And the second thing about ijtihad is that the agreed upon principles of Quran and Sunnah, they cannot be changed by ijtihad. So if somebody tries to do an ijtihad and say that in those times the people were not so busy and today the people are very busy, so you don't need to go to mosque for prayers.
Yeah.
So this is not ijtihad, this is fasad.
All right.
Right.
And thank you very much for kind of, differentiating that as well. Now I have a couple of questions, and it's a series of questions as well. First of all, obviously, sir, when we talk about ijtihad, now the very sunnah you've actually shared, or the very ahadith you've actually shared, is probably because of the fact that, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam already knew that this is something which is going to happen in near future probably as well. But, obviously we refer to Maulanas as religious clerics, and what happens is that, why do you think that, we from, religious clerics from different walks of life, obviously, or probably from different segments of the society, will never come down to having, or probably, discussing about ijtihad as well. In the recent times, what we have seen is that all of these religious clerics will probably, I don't know whether it's for the views, and I do not want to say anything about that, I will reserve my comments on that. But why do you think that we are still not able to align all of these religious clerics probably in one form? And then moving on to that, I know you have something to add over here as well. And then moving on, what I certainly want to kind of know over here is that, since you mentioned that, that fasad, there's one thing which is fasad which exists where we are trying to change what has been written in Quran, or probably what has been said in this, or ahadith, or what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did within his own sunnah as well. So now what my question over here is that how do you think that we would know that this is the right form of ijtihad, because there's so many different types of it as well.
Right, and secondly, because time is short and I want
Yeah.
to squeeze out maximum knowledge that I can,
Both of us.
who is eligible to do ijtihad?
Yeah.
Who is eligible to be a mujtahid? Can I be a mujtahid?
Yeah, me and you can do that too.
or is it authority vested only with the ulama, with the body of scholarly?
Since ijtihad is one of the greatest values, so there are ethics that should be followed by doing ijtihad. Every person is not actually capable of doing ijtihad.
That's
Okay,
true.
thank you for saying that.
And that is why there's a concept of taqleed as well,
yes.
taqleed or ittiba or ita'a.
That's true.
So ijtihad, there are many prerequisites for a person, for a group of persons that make them come on merit before they can even think of doing ijtihad. The outcome, we should first think about what is the outcome of ijtihad.
Mutual consensus.
No, the outcome of ijtihad is istihsan.
Yeah,
So what is istihsan?
I was about to ask you that.
So istihsan is from Hasan. Hasan means excellence, and istihsan means when the scholars of Islam would agree on an issue
Unanimously.
unanimously, or with the jumhur ulama. Jumhur, I will also talk about what is jumhur. So these jumhur ulama, jumhur is from jamhara. Jamhara are the if you go into the meanings of jamhara, we call jumhuriyat. But this term has been taken from fiqh, and it is politically used nowadays.
Right.
But if you go ponder into the meanings of jamhara, if you look at the if you go to beach and you see the wraith over there, the sand over there, you find silicon inside of it, and it actually reflects light. So it reflects the light of the sun. So now imagine Quran and Sunnah is the knowledge. It is like sun, and when the light of sun reflects from these sand particles of so it gives you light inside of your light. It actually
It reflects
feels
the
like it
same
reflects
value.
like stars, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, there are people in the society
Who are as sand particles.
who are those sand particles that can reflect that light.
Wow, sir.
So this is actually Jumhuriyat
Prevail.
should also be interpreted like this in Islam, that people who can reflect the light of Quran and Sunnah and teach you the knowledge of Quran and Sunnah as enshrined in our constitution as well.
Right, right.
That what is the process of legislation? You cannot do legislation against the Quran and Sunnah. So a person who is capable of who is potentially capable of, I will not say capable 100%, but potentially capable of understanding all the ayahs of Quran, and he's got the knowledge of that. And then a person who's got an eye and knowledge into the ahadith first. So these are the two prerequisites. Illam tajid. How can one say that it is not available in Quran and Sunnah in the exact meanings? So there are going to be four kinds of meanings: ibaratun nas, dalalatun nas, iqtizaun nas, and isharatun nas. Ibarat, expressed meanings, implied meanings, and knowledge pointing towards Quran and Sunnah to resolve that issue. So a person who is that much capable, he knows Arabic very well. He knows ilmul lughat, ilmul aqliyat, ilmul riyaziyat. So all these kinds of knowledge, there are almost 27, 28 branches of knowledge that he knows about. Then only he will qualify, not be appointed. Rather, he's a potential qualified candidates. So how would we do ijtihad nowadays? This is one of the great
And that's
questions.
something I want to ask, obviously. But first things first, because obviously, any government, when they come in power, their sole priority is to legislate, right? So, the upper house, the lower house, and obviously that's where we see the real essence of democracy. But why do you think, sir, I don't know whether we have been unable to do that as well, because you really spoke about it as of now. Do we have such a governing body where, people who have more than 28 subjects of knowledge, they come together and then they kind of talk about all of these issues as well? Because I don't know whether it is true, if I refer to it as well. For example, Hazrat Ali Razi Ta'ala even said that, that please make sure that you do not raise your children as they were raised before you as well, because the times were different, right? So with different times, we need different ulamas coming together, making sure that they give us modern liberal solutions as of now in the times we live. Do you think that we have actually worked on it? Do you think that we have an authority or a governing body who is continuously doing that to make sure that we actually stay on the right path?
While there could be different opinions on what I will say, I may be right or I may be wrong. Like as a student of knowledge, that is what I can talk about. I'm just a student. I do not even can call myself a scholar.
Wonderful.
Scholars are great people.
You'll be
I'm
modest.
just it's not modesty actually. It's we can see all the great scholars around in Pakistan, in the world. So I'm just a student, and what I've learnt as a student is, look, the ideology of Pakistan. If you read the ideology of Pakistan, there are different interpretations to it, but it is enshrined in our constitution in Qarar Dade Maqasid, the objectives resolution, and it has a history. This was written by Allama Shabbir Ahmad Usmani and was presented by Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan, Rahmatullah alayhim. So these people, they gave the ideology and it was enshrined into the preamble of our constitution, and in 70s that was brought inside of the constitution. So according to that ideology, we should legislate according to the Quran and Sunnah, and nothing should be there present in the law against the Quran and Sunnah. And the institutions that are empowered to implement it and empowered to are the Supreme Courts, to interpret it and to do the legislation is the Parliament, the lower house and the higher house. But there is another two institutions that can be very relevant to it. It is Council of Islamic Ideology and the Federal Shariat Court as well.
Right.
So I think we've got the structure in place.
Right.
Now what we need to do is we need to create some meritocracy over there as well.
Right.
Unless or until people come on merit, and I've given you the preconditions of merit.
Yeah.
Right. Who should be now these guys, people in Parliament can decide, create the rules in consultation with ulama kiram of Pakistan, keeping in view our urf or the environment, that what kind of what is the level of knowledge of the people that are coming in, that is a consulting but constitutional body.
Yeah.
Right.
Comes inside, are appointed inside of Council of Islamic Ideology, and before passing a law, I think if the sifarishat or the advice of Council of Islamic Ideology is taken, that could potentially make things go in the right direction.
Exactly, and thank you very much for saying that, because sir, that will, I mean, obviously we have not really kind of deduced how we really need to go about Ijtehad as well. So we're going to tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to discuss it over again, because from here onwards we really need to take the conversation forward, and how we really need to kind of form a free and fair sort of a platform where people come together, and that too, the merit is too high. You really need to know about 28 or more subjects according to what Ramzan Sahab has mentioned. But ladies and gentlemen, obviously we're going to continue from here on Ijtehad as well, but right now we actually have to head out towards a short break. We will say thank you to Siklan Bhai, Imran Bhai, thank you very much for being with us. But once we're going to come back, ladies and gentlemen, we really have somebody who I think a lot of kids can take inspiration from, especially when you have budding youngsters in the country as well. We really need to share such examples. Please make sure that you stay tuned to PTV World. You're watching Ramazan Pakistan. Thank you.
Ramzan Pakistan, Ramzan Pakistan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى.
Welcome back. And earlier on, we were talking about Ijtehad and how there's a dire need to, revive again this concept of Ijtehad. And now, Shahzad, I wanted to ask you this question. Talking about knowledge and school and education, what sort of a student were you?
I think I was a really outspoken student. I
Right.
was a little lazy while I was in my school as well, but I was more into sports, lesser into studies.
Right.
But alhamdulillah, never wasted a year. I was
Right.
always on time in whichever grade I was
That's
supposed to
nice.
be as well. But with college and school, it wasn't really good. With my
Right.
university, I happen to be, alhamdulillah, 3 times I've been awarded with scholarships within my
Mashallah.
bachelor's degree as well, twice in my master's degree.
Mashallah.
My CGPA stands at 3.43. And that
Mashallah.
was the time, when my first semester results came in, when for the very first time I actually had a scholarship from my university.
Right.
My GPA was 3.67 in my first semester ever. And that was the time that I realized that I was never a student who actually could kind of, learn what was written in the book. In fact, just memorize it and then reproduce it. I was always the sort where I needed to know the logic behind the very thing which I was studying, and then I could reproduce it with my own words as well. And that was something which was welcomed in universities. But it took me a longer period, ladies and gentlemen, to kind of ensure that I'm a good student with my family. But other than that, there are people who are actually blessed. There are people who work
And
hard.
did you know that you were going to land up in this field? Did you have
I've
this
always
clarity?
been in this field, but
Right.
even when I was in my college, I was doing radio
Oh,
as well,
that's nice.
alhamdulillah. So I always made sure to seize an opportunity. But
Right.
today it's not about me, and I know that you've always been a very bright student. I think that the viewers know as of now as well. But ladies and gentlemen, since I mentioned that, we have budding youngsters over here in the country, alhamdulillah, more than 60% of the population is of youngsters.
Right.
Today, we are actually going to share a very amazing example of a student who's made sure that against all odds, she's going to perform. Imagine she took 96% marks in her matriculation. She took 98% marks, ladies and gentlemen, in her FSC as well. Not just that, ever since grade 1, she's been participating in a lot of speeches competition as well, or debate competitions, and she's always been taking the first position, maybe on district level, maybe on national level as well. Now, very recently, she's just done her first semester from LSE. And even though, my first question was that, hey, you know what, when you have such a smart brain, your parents would always push you to be an engineer or a doctor. She actually went through the same debate. And she finally decided that she wants to be an economist. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Ms. Jannat Ilyas. But hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, thank you very much for joining us and
Thank you for
welcome back.
having me.
I think it's been more than a year or 2 years that you were here last
Yes.
as well, and you actually made sure that you're going to share all of those inspirational stories from your life with our viewers as well. But very quickly, so we do not want to ask you, how did you manage to do that, how much work you put in. I believe that people who are high achievers are the people who actually have a resolve in their mind. They're not worried about all of those meager issues, petty issues which people are, and then they are disciplined because they have this higher goal which they want to achieve, and they know that, God forbid, if I'm going to make mistakes, I will never reach my goal. So how do you manage your time? How do you discipline your life? And how does your parents contribute in making sure that you're going to be a high achiever?
First of all, I think that the basic key of managing is to keep in your mind what you're going through right now, because I am doing an internship right now. I am doing my university. I also have a social life. To manage it is the best way possible is to just go with your heart, I guess, because you need to stay focused on your studies as well, but don't actually become a bookworm at the same time.
Alright.
And since I'm also doing an internship, I also have to keep that in mind, give some of that time to that as well. So balance is the key, I guess.
All right. So thank you very much for saying that balance is the key. But for you to say balance is the key is for you to understand where you really need that balance. Because what happens is that if you do not have that resolve, if you do not go see your friends because that's something which happened to me from December till now. My friends were really not talking to me because I was really very busy, and I was like, hey, you know what, the friends are going to be here if they are my friends. So how do you manage that, and how do you realize that, okay, I really need to have that work-life balance within my own life as well?
I feel it is all about priorities at first. I mean, sometimes you need to put your work forward, sometimes you need to put your studies forward, and sometimes you need to give your time to your friends as well. And it gets really hard at times, because friends sometimes say that you don't give us time and as well. But I think sometimes you need to put yourself first and above all
the time, I think.
yes, exactly.
And I also feel that, definition of balance always changes, as you grow up, right? The work-life
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably because of the fact that some relationships you leave behind, some relationships
true.
you
Yes,
get
exactly.
into,
Right.
some there are newer friendships, and then
Yes.
because
Future
ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I might have had like 200 or 300 friends as well, but then eventually it comes down to 5 or 6 because
Right.
you certainly need to be around people who have the same resolve as you do. And I'm
Right.
sorry that I've been mentioning this resolve word again and again, but it is essential. It is
Right.
100% essential in your life. Please make sure that you understand that. Now, very quickly, when we talk about discipline,
Yes.
obviously discipline is important, but once, when I was, I don't know how old are you, probably 15, 16 or 17, whatever your age is, when I was your age, all I thought about was playing cricket probably, going out with friends, not studying at all, and there was no discipline.
Right.
Sleeping late at night, waking up late in the morning, so everything was disturbed, and I didn't know what I was doing. The energy was there, but I really couldn't put it onto a channel where I will succeed with whatever ambitions I had.
I think men are more like that.
Probably boys then,
Boys,
yes.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So how did you manage to do that? Because we are so impulsive in our nature. We
Right.
see another little girl playing with a doll. You might want to do that, but that was the time when you decided, hey, you know what? I really need to study. I'll play later. I'll play later, and we keep on procrastinating on that as well. So how did you manage to do
And
that?
also, how did you ended up in LSC? Please tell us a
Yeah,
journey.
so basically I've never been that kind of person who's interested in playing more, I must say. But I've been that more practical kind, and especially when you come from a small city. I'm from Gujranwala.
Right.
And
Not really small.
it's not
the
that
chiddas are best over there.
yeah, you bet that. And the thing was that I had to do something that made me special and made me stand out from my city. I was the first one out of my family who stepped forward and went to do FSC in Lahore. So I think I always had that in mind, that I had to make a change for my family as well, for the other girls around me. So that was what I had in mind always. Plus, my parents, I must say, have always been super encouraging. They've never been those kind of parents who have told me that, you have to do this or you have to do that. Though I've had my differences with them,
Right.
they have told me at one point they were like, because you're so good at academics, that is what everyone says, that you should become a doctor.
Yeah.
You should go for that.
Right.
I thought that I wanted to do something different, because my little sister, she's a doctor. She's Dr. Kainat, and she has done medical, and I've seen the struggle that she's gone through, and in the end I feel like the reward that they're getting is very little, and I
Really?
wanted to do something that made me different from that specific sort of startup. And I think that youth nowadays needs to address this problem as well, that we need to differentiate ourselves from those myths, from those specific jobs that we think are secure for us, and we need to step out. That is how we progress as a society.
So what I've deduced so far is that Jannat is actually looking for reward and recognition. Is that true?
No, I'm looking for a difference.
Or you're looking for a difference? And how do you think the difference is going to come around when you're going to share an example of somebody being rewarded very little of the kind of education system they went through? You mentioned about your sister, Dr. Kainat. So how do you refer to it as difference rather than lesser on reward or higher on rewards?
I feel that sometimes we need to represent a sort of, when we're going through like FSC time, all of the younger people, they are very confused and they're scared. They don't have aims and they don't know what direction they want to go in.
True.
So I think that at that point they need some sort of
Counseling?
consultation, some counseling that needs to guide them through a proper channel. What I wanted to say with reward wasn't only that I wanted money or recognition. I meant that I wanted recognition of the youth in terms of different fields of life. I
Right.
want them to represent us in economics. I want them to present us in finance. I want them to step aside from those specific, what you said, doctor and engineer
Very
and all of those
cliched.
professions.
Yeah.
We need to move aside from those myths, and we need to tell our younger generation that these other professions, for example economics, for example management, are more rewarding in terms of different fields. Because once I stepped into FSC, I've done my pre-medical because I thought that I will
Okay.
be a doctor, because that is what most of the people think.
Yeah.
But then I went through in a self-evaluation. I went through my interests, and I thought that I could talk, I could represent, and I could actually step into a field that is different. So I feel like
Whether
this
rewarding or not.
definitely.
Thank you very much.
I take back my words.
Thank you very much for saying that.
I think
because
reward is important, Shehzad. Why are you against it?
No, no, I'm not against it. I am in favor of it. But when you speak about a journey where you were in an academic form of 5 years as well, and then you were not rewarded, I think reward is a later part, and reward comes from Allah Almighty. Nobody else gives you the reward. So then, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very honest. Degree you can earn from this very worldly affair, but whatever reward you're going to get will always be from Allah Almighty. So, never question what Allah has actually given you. In fact, rather make sure that you keep on working hard. And that's something which I want the youngsters to believe in. Because what happens is that, that they will actually take their heart out of it, even if they have dedicated their entire life till 17 years or 18 years, and they'll be like, yeah, reward to hai kuch nahi, chalo kuch aur kar lete hain. But I've seen people succeeding, ladies and gentlemen, who've always been with their passion and they have been working with dedication. Only those people have succeeded. Rewards sometimes come at a very early stage, sometimes it comes at a very later stage. So, it can always be an examination as well. But now coming down to the point where now you finally joined LSE, while I was in discussion with her father, Bhatt Sahab, as well, he said that, we did try asking her if she wants to become a doctor, but since that's something she wished for, so we really wanted her to actually follow her ambition. Now, earlier we were even asking, so what do you want to do after university? So you said that you rather would want to opt for Pakistan Army or CSS. So why both of these choices?
I personally feel that youngsters like us need to step up in those fields because we need to make a change in them. Definitely, those are the bigger chunks of our country which make a difference. Democrats and, army. And I think we as youngsters need to step in those professions because personally I feel that the younger generation, they've always been looking for more money and they've been going outside of our country, but we need to stay in our country to make a change. You cannot actually say while sitting in America or Canada that you want to change in your country.
What about all the expats listening to you right now? We go out in 46 different countries,
But the thing is that they can play a contribution definitely
They
by
have
sitting
always
outside.
been.
Yes, but the bigger chunk that stays in Pakistan and then they say that they've been unemployed and they've not been appointed, I feel that they need to actually look for the options that are present in our country. And I wanted to make a difference while staying in our country.
And this is not the time, ladies and gentlemen, when you can actually complain, that we're not getting a job. You just open up your laptop and you will have the entire world right in front of you. You can start by just writing essays and people will pay you in dollars. Even the Arabs are paying in dollars because they couldn't really do their own, university assignments as well. So they're like, okay, if you can do it, I'll pay you $20, $30, and it's easier. But very quickly, because you're one of those people draw inspiration from you, from what you have achieved so far. Just, I seriously wanted to know what the youngsters of Pakistan think politically as well. Because it is really important. Even Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah did tell us that, hey, while you're in school and college, please abstain yourself from any political activities. But obviously you're in university now, and we as Pakistanis, we're more politically aware. So what is your concept of politics and democracy, and how do you think that the country needs to run?
I personally think that the country needs to run, first of all, it should be justice, equality, and then come the values of democracy as well.
Thank you.
So the thing is that in the previous days, you must have noticed all of the commotion, the chaos in the political world. And personally, I feel that it didn't help the students. I have been to university during that time and it was very stressful for all of the people around me, every single student. We were fighting for the teams and that was not good. I personally believe that every single political party that is representing our country should stay within the limits. No, I don't support any of those. I'm not even in the voting bank yet. But the thing is that...
Oh, I was so good with 17 then.
I just turned 18, by the way.
Mashallah.
So the thing is that every single person that is with me right now is not happy with the commotion, be it any political party. And I personally feel that all of this must stay in peace. If we want betterment in our country, we need to do it with peace. We need to resolve it through resolutions as well.
Thank you very much, Jannat, for being with us. And this last question was actually a trick question, and you truly are a person where a lot of people really need to draw inspiration from you, and it's because of the fact that I've asked this question of multiple youngsters, and they would always come up with one political party's chairperson's name. But what you did was that you draw out the characteristics which a political party or any individual needs to have. For example, equality and injustice you spoke about. So thank you very much for saying that.
Thank you so much.
Because that's what will actually kind of make us stay away from chaos. Thank you very much once again, Jannat.
Thank you.
Wish you best of luck for
Thank you
and
so much.
to her parents as well. Do you want to say anything to your parents? Very quickly, we are short on
They
time.
have supported me throughout, and I'm very proud to be their daughter.
And thank you very much for coming all the way from and bringing Jannat all the way from Gujranwala as well. For everybody who's out there, do you want to say something?
I think Jannat reminded me of my younger self. And
Oh, that's so unfair, yeah. I mean, you were as smart as Jannat or smarter or...
I think I had the political ideas like that, and I'm really inspired by her. And we'll keep bringing you such inspiration stories, right, Shehzad?
Yes.
And we had a really nice exchange of ideas today. And with that, we are saying goodbye.
Thank you. Look after yourselves.
Ramzan Pakistan, Ramzan Pakistan.